This one is going to be helpful, especially if you are a first-time mom and you don't want to miss those telltale signs that you are going into that new transformational experience that is going to help bring you and baby together on the other side. Let's take it to the board. I had to grab my raspberry red leaf tea. Mamas, if you're not onto this, have you heard? Raspberry red leaf tea is great for helping to fortify your uterus, helping better prepare you for productive and progressive contractions when it's time to have baby. A little tea for your day. But back to the topic at hand. How do you know that you are really in labor? Right. This is probably going to be one of the most exciting and maybe also nerve-wracking times of your whole pregnancy journey, because this is the culmination of what you've been waiting for. How do we know if your body is just playing with your emotions, giving you Braxton Hicks, or you are actually in real live labor, looking for progression and ultimately birthing? There are a few things that can happen, and they can happen between anywhere from a week to a few days to a few hours before you give birth. Now, all of these things that I'm going to be going over today are simply signs that are positive indications that labor is imminent. It does not mean that you are immediately going to be going into labor or that you are in labor presently. But if you have all of these combined, then more than likely you are going to be going into labor very soon. One of the first things that you might notice is that, oh my goodness, I can breathe. What is that called? It's called lightning. Not lightning like a lightning bolt, but lightening, because that means that baby is starting to move down. So when you are fully pregnant, you've come up, your bump is probably up here, and it feels hard to breathe, right? Everything's pushing on your diaphragm, your internal organs are moved around to make space, and then one day you wake up and you're like, it's a little bit easier to catch my breath, and you'll notice that your bump has gone down some, not smaller, but like it's moved down, and there's a little bit more space between your breast and your abdomen, and giving your diaphragm some more room to be able to expand and contract. And that is called lightening. Another thing that you might notice is that you'll lose your mucus plug. Now, this can be anywhere from the consistency of a thick, gelatiny like glob. It could be long, it could be a little blob. You could notice it on the toilet paper, or you could notice it in the toilet, or in your underwear, depending on where it comes out. But this is a great sign that your body is starting to prepare for labor, because the mucus plug is that extra barrier between your vagina and the outside world that's keeping the outside world from going in to your cervix and your uterus. If you lose your mucus plug, this is also a great sign that your body is preparing for labor. Now, I know I talked to you before about your body maybe playing with your emotions, giving you what's called Braxton Hicks. But Braxton Hicks are also considered like practice labor. What's the main difference with Braxton Hicks? Well, Braxton Hicks contractions are usually generally more bearable. They're just more so like a tightening of the stomach. So you can feel it's very hard, like in a contraction, but there generally is no pain with the Braxton Hicks. Maybe some uncomfortableness because your belly is hard, but there's no pain as far as your body opening and things like that generally with the Braxton Hicks. They're usually longer and very sporadic in the waves that they come in. The main thing to think about with Braxton Hicks is that there's going to be tightening of the stomach. They're sporadic and generally no labor progression. No progression. Then the next sign that labor is coming on are going to be your progressive contractions. How do you know that it's a progressive contraction? Well, they are generally going to bring about the rupture of membranes, or ROM, or what we call the breaking of the water. Progressive contractions are stronger, longer, and closer together. So LC, stronger, longer, closer together. Let's talk a little bit more about these progressive contractions. So like we said, progressive contractions are going to be stronger, longer, and closer together. What does that look like? They're going to be about 60 seconds in duration, roughly. And then they'll be about 3 to 5 minutes apart, and they come in waves, like a wave. It starts in, you'll feel that initial Braxton Hicks type tightening. As the tightening increases, you'll then start to feel the actual contraction. That's when that intensity comes in. That's what I'll call it, is intensity, right? The sensation of the contraction kicks in. It's going to peak roughly at that 60-second mark and then start to ease off. And you should have about 3 to 5 minutes in between each wave. And if those are steady, an hour to 2 hours, then that's a good indication that you want to start letting people know, hey, we're on our way. And then again, if you have that ROM, what's ROM? That's right, rupture of membranes, or your water breaking. That's also a very good sign that you're having some progressive contractions, progressive labor, and we're going to start going into those stages of labor that we talked about in a previous video. Then you have your stages of labor. So you're going to have your early latent labor, active labor, transitional labor. Then we go to stage 2, stage 3, and then stage 4, which again is after that placenta is born. But if you need a refresher on that, please go ahead and check that video. I'll put the link to that somewhere here, or you can DM me for the link as well, and I'll send that your way. But after you have the rupture of membranes, if you've had steady contractions and they're getting more and more apart, these are all great signs that you are going into active labor, which brings you one step closer to baby. If you've confirmed that you are now in active labor, what do you do next? What can your doula do to help you? And what are the next steps to follow? First things first, you and your doula should have been doing some preparatory work for when active labor sets in, so that you can get your mind right, recenter, and focus. Do any of your affirmations that you've practiced, meditation, hypno breathing, anything like that. These are when those methods and coping mechanisms come in extreme handy and help to relax your mind and then your body. Remember, you want your body to be relaxed as possible so that you're not drawing out your labor, making it more painful for you and or more traumatic for your baby. The more relaxed you are, the easier the birthing experience will be. If there's one thing I can tell you, it would be this: don't fear it, get excited, accept it, and embrace it. These will all help you prepare your mind, body, and spirit to go through this amazing transformational experience and bring a new baby soul into the world. That's how you know if you're really in labor, and what you can do when you are in active labor, and the work that you and your doula could have and should have done to help prepare you for this. If you don't have a doula, I am now currently supporting new journeys, and I'd love to support you through yours. Until next time, lovelies.